police have been given extra powers to stop protests like the one staged by groups like Just Stop Oil.
The bill would allow police to put more conditions on static protests, like start and finish times and noise limits. It would also create an offence of intentionally causing a public nuisance.
The UN Special Rapporteur on Climate Defenders came to visit the UK, and he wrote a letter to the Prime Minister asking him to overturn this.
You're all under arrest under Section 7 of the Public Order Act.
The two main bills that have come out, which are pretty much specifically about Just Stop Oil, Extinction Rebellion, Interstate Britain and Palestine Action, these are the groups that are trying to be shut down by these laws.
Just Stop Oil activists were handed historically long jail sentences.
He's received a 5-year jail sentence.
I'm no fan of Just Stop Oil whatsoever, but I do think reading 5 years in jail, that slightly sticks in the craw for me.
I think it's just the beginning. I think it's going to get far, far worse. This is a change the government just does not want to make, and big business doesn't want to make this change. So hi, my name's Harley. I'm a supporter of Just Stop Oil, and this is more context.
In response to disruptive protests by groups like Just Stop Oil, the UK government has enacted new laws to more easily clamp down on protesters, leading to prison sentences of up to 5 years. Public opinion on these specific sentences is mixed. However, the majority of people in Britain feel they should be able to attend protests without punishment, leaving them concerned about their ability to stand up for causes they may believe in the future. We spoke with Just Stop Oil member Harley, who has been punished by these policies, to ask what these new laws are and what they mean for the future of protest in the UK.
So the first one was the Police, Courts, Crime and Sentencing Bill, or the PCSC Bill, which was in 2022. Basically, it's just increasing sentences for things that were already crimes. The Hull Truth 5, the people that were convicted of planning the M25 protests, they got the 4 and 5 years because that was under the PCSC Bill. Before that, Fathers for Justice, who did a similar thing on a smaller scale, but they stood up on motorway gantries and blocked the M25. They didn't receive similar sentences. It's this shift from rarely imprisoning people for doing peaceful protest, and only in extreme cases, to this becoming a bread and butter sort of event for someone to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years for doing protest. But now we have another one, the Public Order Act of 2023. So in 2023, Just Stop Oil were doing slow marching, which is walking slowly, and it caused a lot of disruption to London. It wasn't a serious offence to do that. You would get a section 12, which basically means you'll get a small fine. I think the highest fine we had was about £600-700, but most people were getting £100, £150. I mean, it's not serious. But then it was a change then now to add a new thing called a section 7, which is called interference with key national infrastructure.
You're all under arrest under Section 7 of the Public Order Act.
And so that means that it's now moved from being this is a slap on the wrist, you get a small fine, to now you can spend up to a year in prison for doing this. And that was directly in response to the Just Stop Oil protests in 2023. You would also move from the magistrates to the Crown Court, where the most serious cases were seen. And it does scare people then. I mean, I was scared myself. You get arrested for a Section 12, it's no big concern. When you get arrested for a Section 7, you think, hey, if I go out again, I might be sent straight to prison and held on remand. Right? Even if I'm not convicted, I might be sent straight to prison. And we've seen the first few convictions. The first conviction was for 6 months. So someone got 6 months for marching for around 20 minutes down the road. They pled guilty and they were sent instantly for 6 months in prison. It was reduced on appeal. And then more recently, Phoebe Plummer then received 3 months in prison. But the main aim isn't to punish individual people, it's to create a climate of fear. Like, do not be doing this disruptive marching. You have to apply to the government. The government can approve where your protest will be. And if they reject your protest, you better not go on it, because you'll end up in the Crown Court.
Through the Public Order Bill that I will be bringing forward, we will see new criminal offences for those disruptive protesters.
Under these new laws, protesters disrupting public spaces can potentially be jailed for up to 10 years, with cases now tried in Crown Courts alongside serious criminal cases. While 68% of Britons support some action against disruptive protests, many question if these laws go too far. Are these measures protecting public order or simply silencing dissent?
But the police are already stepping in before they have actually moved onto the road.
When they increased the penalty for protesting and marching, which means we would go to the Crown Court, I thought people at the Crown Court would say, this is absolutely crazy. We're supposed to be dealing with murderers, we're supposed to be dealing with like armed robbery, we're supposed to be dealing with, all these other crimes, sexual offences. My crime is that I marched for 5 minutes. I was arrested after 5 minutes of marching, and yet I'm going to have a 3-week long trial at the Crown Court. I thought the judge would be like, this is crazy, what are you doing? No, obviously get rid of this. But But my judge didn't say that. My judge said, I think there's a very strong case for convicting these people of this crime. Yeah, I realised that it's so much to do with the attitudes of the judge on the day. And I've had everything from a judge that's like, I support what you're doing, you guys are heroes, you know, we really need to get behind this, climate change action needs to happen. And when we had a representative from BP there, he was like laying into them, you know, and saying, you've lied about this, you've lied about that. I thought it was brilliant. He still gave me a fine, but, you know, it was only a couple of £100. Then you get another judge. The judge that gave them the 4 and 5 years was climate change is neither here nor there. That's not an objective court system because it's a scientific fact that this thing's happening and that it's massive. It's political. Any layperson, I think, when you show someone the comparison, it's like, should someone get longer for, you know, a serious assault or for planning to block a road, which they got 5 years for? I think that 9 out of 10 people in the public would say, obviously, the person who, you know, committed the serious violent crime. The key thing to remember is that repression is a double-edged sword. Hey, this is now more scary. You're going to go to prison. We'll ruin your life. This kind of thing. But at the same time, that can make people go, nah, I'm not going to do this. I'm scared. I don't want to do this. It can also have the effect of people saying, this is absolutely fucked. This is ridiculous. I'm not standing for this. The government is good. The government's lost control. The government's out of control. And the government really, every time they do a new piece of repressive legislation, they're rolling the dice. It can help a movement massively if the government does bad repression, or badly timed, badly executed repression, which leads to like a popular uprising against the government. I think people always see it as, hey, repression's always bad for the progress of the movement, but it's not. The suffragettes were repressed, Martin Luther King was repressed, right? It's annoying, it's bad, but it's a part of the process. And sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. We don't know what's going to happen. And I think it's going to be a strategic battle basically between the government and the movement as to who can play this the most effectively. Where when something does happen, where the government cracks down, what the public response is going to be. And whether people are going to actually come out and try and protect the climate defenders or whether they're going to allow it to happen.